Many fighting game characters have something called a DP, short for Dragon Punch. It's always been an incredibly powerful tool and holds a reputation for almost always being your most reliable defensive option due to its complete invulnerability. They even put it on shirts. They beat everything, but they're balanced out by the fact that they'll leave you wide open if you fail to actually hit your opponent. Due to this risk factor, people use DPs with great caution. Well, most sane people. 99% of the time, you see it used in the same scenario, getting up, because that's where it's most likely to work. But even then, there's still the worry that the opponent will see it coming. If they predict your DP, all you succeeded in doing was picking up the shovel and digging your own grave.
You win!
So, with all of this in mind, why the hell did this person DP here? It's been years since I stopped striving to be the best at any fighting game. The closer I got to that goal, the more I realized that it was never really one I actually wanted. Placing highly in a tournament wasn't worth dealing with the self-loathing that came with my off days, or the surprising amount of pressure that accompanied some random casual set at 2 AM. Or the frustration of having nobody care when you win, but hearing everybody cheer when you lose. Suddenly, I didn't enjoy fighting games like I used to. My prevailing relationship with the genre began when I was 7, with Street Fighter as the first video game I ever played. You know, Street Fighter Online, that computer game with Ryu, Ken, and Spider-Man. But then I graduated onwards to games like King of Fighters Wing that had characters like Kyo, Iori, and hey look, it's Ryu again. My first console was the Wii, where I bought Tatsunoko vs Capcom with Ryu again, then I bought a PSP and got BlazBlue and Guilty Gear, then I eventually discovered Persona 4 Arena and Marvel vs Capcom 3, which had Ryu again, on a 360 I saved up for. The entire time, I played fighting games to do one thing: hit people with cool looking stuff. It isn't any deeper than that, I swear, I'm a simple guy. I still adore and religiously rewatch animated sprite fights just because I think the fighting game characters and their techniques are really cool. But in the present day, I've changed, and so has my relationship to fighting games. Hitting someone with a technique that looks cool starts to feel a lot less cool the 1,000th time, so what's left to make this genre enjoyable? I guess most people would say it's the actual fighting part, the thrill of outplaying your opponent or something like that. Yeah, that never gets old, no matter what kind of sport you're playing. But unfortunately, I even find that harder to come by these days, as I'm repeatedly matched against players of wildly different skill levels. Of course, there's still fun to be had no matter what the difference in skill level may be, but they don't exactly fuel my motivation to keep playing. What's left for me? Izuna drops don't excite me anymore. Playing most of my sets on autopilot isn't my idea of fun. But I can't stop playing fighting games, I'm too attached now. All I can do is create my own fun, the kind of fun that led this poor soul to this moment of shame, stranded in midair, defenseless, and an open target. To break up the monotony of fighting games, I give myself side missions. I know I'm not the only one that makes these little challenges. Many of you guys do it too, although probably more subconsciously. I'm sure that when Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta came out, everybody challenged themselves to land a level 7 instant kill Kamehameha. When I matched with yet another player who picked up the game last week, while I've shamelessly been here for over 10 years, my mind isn't fixed on playing to win, it's fixed on figuring out how to squeeze as much fun as possible out of this next set. My favourite way of doing this is by challenging myself to perform something that I wouldn't typically achieve by playing optimally. It's not fun if it's not difficult, so I come up with things that take a lot of effort. Make somebody swing at thin air, then punish them was the actual challenge I gave myself. Making someone swing at thin air, at least in the precise way you want them to, isn't easy at all in a game like Guilty Gear. That can take multiple matches of setup because it's extremely strict conditioning. I didn't challenge myself to make this sole player use a DP while I'm busy hanging a forward dash length away. My challenge was just make somebody swing at thin air, an idea that I came up with genuinely because I find the idea of someone fighting a ghost while my character chills out on a scroll to be entertaining imagery. I'm making art, guys. Subsequently, my gameplay was tailored towards that challenge. Forget the optimal gameplay. There were times where my opponent was knocked down in the corner, a hardcore player's wet dream, the perfect time to get aggressive. And in a competitive match, I would. But instead, I gave up the corner, gave up the Oki, got back to neutral, and replayed this scroll minigame all over again. My opponent must have hated me. I think the reason why this so DP'd here, the answer to our question, is that they didn't want a real-time replay of what happens when you stand there and let answer come to you. Doing nothing means submitting to this character's offense again. Using a standard anti-air may not even reach answer, and trying to get out of the way is much easier said than done. It was never fully intentional, but one by one, I weeded out all of these alternative options, making them cycle through each one until they settled on DP. Like, make them do a wild DP is a description for a challenge that I had never, and until this occasion, would never have given serious thought. It feels unrealistic. What on earth could I even do to bait someone into using a DP while I'm cruising a good distance away? Apparently, I could do something. In the words of a good old friend, people surprise you, and I continue to be surprised. Because upon reflection, I've seen other people throw out unsafe and vulnerable moves to try and be one step ahead of the business ninja. I don't have the replays though, so you'll have to take my word for it. I just love when answer hangs on the scroll sometimes. You feel so powerful and intimidating.
I knew he was coming. I should have just 6P'd.
Do you give yourself mini challenges? These are fighting games. They can sometimes get boring if you don't add a little flavor to it. You might already be doing it without realizing it anyway. Whatever you come up with could aid you in exploring every aspect of your character and finding a new way to enjoy them. But it could also be something you use to address one of your bad habits. One of my biggest takeaways from my competitive days is that you shouldn't view each set as something you're supposed to win. These are fighting games, so that sounds counterproductive, but I truly believe that it's beneficial in the long run. Do you have a bad habit of DPing on wake up all the time? I know at least one of you out there watching this video does. I run into you guys all the damn time. Play a set where your number one priority isn't winning, but is about taming your habit to always DP in the same place. Or maybe it's to stop a habit of bursting in the same place. Maybe use it to incorporate new offensive ideas instead of relying only on your current arsenal. This approach helps to patch up the smaller crevices in your play while keeping the process of improvement more enjoyable and recognizable. Whatever you come up with, just make sure it's actually satisfactory to work towards, even if you never achieve it. In the past, I've had ideas that are really fun. On paper. However, in practice, they didn't turn out to be the super fun picture I'd painted in my head, so I threw the idea away. And of course, every completed challenge deserves a reward. My reward is having a clip that I can always look back on and think, damn, I was kinda cool there. Your reward might be in finally purging a nasty habit you've long had, or discovering a new direction to take your character in. Nevertheless, it's just a different way of having a good time. But if that's not enough of a reward, then, I don't know, suck it up. These developers don't give us much to do outside of the actual fighting part unless they're NRS. We gotta roll with the punches, just let the sense of achievement be your reward. That's how I get through making some of these videos. But it would be nice if you helped me out, by subscribing or liking the video or leaving a comment. Just saying.